Which NBA legend son is the best at basketball? In my last video, I went down multiple all-time lists to find out who's the best player of all time to have a son that played in the league. I recommend you check that video out, link is in the description. Anyway, researching that video got me thinking, which NBA legend son is the best at basketball? As mentioned in my previous video, there's a phenomenon that's occurring in the NBA. NBA legends almost never have sons who even make the league, let alone live up to their fathers. To be an NBA legend, for the most part, you need some top-tier genetics. These top-tier genetics don't seem to pass down very well. NBA legends also have immense knowledge and resources they can devote to making sure their kids live up to their potential and are the best players that they can possibly be. Even this, however, doesn't seem to be advantage enough. In this video, I'm going to investigate which NBA legend's son lived up to their father the most. 1971 marked the NBA's 25th anniversary. As a result, they released their first ever official all-time list. This list consisted of the 10 best players to ever have played up to that point and only included retired players. You can see the list on screen here. As you can see, notable players such as Kareem, Wilt Chamberlain, and Oscar Robertson were excluded from this list as they were not yet retired. 10 years later, in 1981, the NBA released their 35th anniversary list. This team consisted of 11 players and did not require the players to be retired like the previous list did. 6 of the 10 players from the 25th anniversary team did not make the cut. In this list, Bill Russell was singled out by the NBA as the greatest player ever. 1996 marked the NBA's 50th anniversary. For this occasion, the NBA released a new list which included the top 50 players of all time. 50 panelists were selected to vote for this unranked list. 13 votes were members of the media, 21 voters were team employees or former employees, including coaches, GMs, and executives, and 16 votes were former players who weren't allowed to vote for themselves. All 11 players from the 35th anniversary team made it, and 8 out of 10 players from the 25th anniversary team made the cut. Most recently, 2021 marked the NBA's 75th anniversary, and with it came the official Top 75 list. This list included every player from the 50th anniversary list, and essentially just added 26 players on top of it. They added 26 players instead of 25 because there was a tie in the voting. This list of 76 players is the data set I'm going to use to represent the NBA legends I'm going to investigate. Going through this list, it surprised me how little is known about the families of some NBA legends, especially the older ones. If the NBA legends' children are unknown, I think we can safely say they did not make the league and hence cannot be the best at basketball, so it doesn't really affect the validity of our final findings. So the first thing we need to do is filter out the players who don't have any sons at all, or have sons that are too young to have made the league. That leaves us with 42 players, so more than half of the top 75 have a son who could have made the league. Now, let's filter out all the players whose sons didn't make the NBA. That leaves us with 8. 8 players out of the 75 have a son who's made the NBA. That's a little under 11%. If you're a high school basketball player, there's only a 0.0005% chance you make the league, so this 11% number is honestly pretty good. Rick Barry, Patrick Ewing, George Mikan, Gary Payton, Scottie Pippen, Dolph Schayes, John Stockton, and Bill Walton. Let's go through these NBA players' sons from worst to best. We start with Scottie Pippen's son, Scottie Pippen Jr. Over his career, Scottie Pippen Jr. has played 6 games for the Los Angeles Lakers as a point guard. He's actually in his rookie season this year, which is in 2022-2023, and is currently signed on a 2-way contract. He definitely has a good chance to rise in these rankings, but currently, he's the least accomplished son that's made the league. Next, we have John Stockton's son, David Stockton. David also played 6 total games in the NBA as a point guard. 3 for the Kings in 2014-15, and 3 for the Jazz, his dad's former team, in 2017-18. He's currently aged 31 and making big noise in the G League, so like Scottie Pippen Jr., he definitely has a shot at rising in these rankings. He's currently tearing it up in the G League, but in this ranking, I'm only considering NBA accomplishments, so that puts him at second last. To hear more about David Stockton's escapades, check out my previous video. Now at 6th, we have Patrick Ewing's son, Patrick Ewing Jr., who's played a grand total of 7 games in his career as a small forward. He played these games for the New Orleans Hornets in 2010-2011. He has an argument for being the worst player of the bunch, only averaging 0.4 points in that stretch, but since he stuck around the league longer than Pippen and Stockton, we'll rank Patrick Ewing Jr. at number 6. Now, onto the top 5, all of whom are significantly better than players 6, 7, and 8. Starting off the top 5, we have George Mikan's son, Larry Mikan. Over his career, he played a grand total of 53 games in the 1970-1971 season for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He played at the small forward position. For those games, he played pretty bad, but at least he stuck around for a whole season. Moving on to number 4, we have our first starter in Gary Payton's son, Gary Payton II. Gary Payton II so far in his career has played 157 games, starting 40 of them. He played these games at both point and shooting guard. He's also the first player mentioned so far who's won a ring. GP2 is still in his prime, so it's very possible he goes up in this list. Now, we move on to the top 3. At 3rd, we have Bill Walton's son, Luke Walton. Recently, Luke Walton has gained infamy from his head coaching stints, but he was a pretty solid player back in his playing days. He played a total of 564 games, mostly as small forward, and started 138 of them. The vast majority of his career was played on the Lakers, with a year and a half in Cleveland at the end of his career. He also won 2 rings in 2009 and 2010 with Kobe. At number 2, we have the relatively unknown legend Dolph Schayes' son, Danny Schayes. Danny played an incredible 1,138 games in the 80s and 90s, which is actually good for 66th all-time, beating his legendary dad in terms of longevity. Danny started 427 of these games, mostly at the center position. In all these seasons, however, he never managed to win a ring. This video is sponsored by Sports Built Different with their glowing basketball. These balls are perfect for nighttime games, especially with the weather getting warmer these days. Link is in the description. Use code EXO for 50% off, plus free shipping. Now, back to the video. And finally, at number 1, we have Rick Barry's son, Brent Barry. Brent played 912 games at shooting guard, starting 449 of them. He's the only player on this list to have started more than half his games. He played from 1995 to 2009, most notably with the Supersonics in his prime and with San Antonio as a veteran where he won 2 rings. What's crazy though is that this isn't Rick Barry's only son who's made the league. His other son, John Barry, also made the league. John played 821 games at shooting guard and started 36 of them, which is enough to slot him in at number 4, pushing Gary Payton II to number 5. It's close between John and GP2, and I'd bet money on the fact that GP2 surpasses John soon, but as of right now, the longevity difference is overwhelming. John played for 8 different organizations from 1992 to 2006. But wait, there's more. Rick Barry actually had a 3rd son that's also made the NBA. Drew Barry played 60 games at point guard for 3 different teams from 1997 to 2000. This is good enough to slot him in at number 6, pushing Larry Mikan to number 7. Rick Barry also has a 4th son named Canyon Barry, whom he had with his 2nd wife. Canyon is currently playing in the G League. He's 29 years old and could potentially play a few games in the NBA before his career is done. Rick Barry is the only player with multiple sons who's made the league, and his superior genes transcend women as both his 1st and 2nd wife birthed a player who at least played in the G League. Rick Barry is unanimously and unequivocally the GOAT when it comes to basketball genetics. He's built different for real. In this video, I went through the entire NBA Top 75 list, looking for the best NBA legend's son. We got a total of 10 sons who played a combined total of 3,714 games, started a total of 1,089 games, and won a total of 5 rings. The Suns also made a grand total of 0 All-Star, All-NBA, and All-Defensive teams. None of these guys ever led the league in any statistical category, and despite winning 5 rings, they played a combined total of 384 minutes in the finals over 29 finals games, which comes out to 13 minutes per game. Despite having their fathers being the best the league has ever seen, all of these sons turned into role players at best. The phenomenon continues. NBA legends never have sons who are even remotely close to them. Although he's getting hella hype right now, this trend isn't looking too good for Bronny James. Do you think he'll be the exception? When it's all said and done, do you think Bronny will be the first NBA Legends son to make an All-Star team? Let me know in the comments. I'm interested in hearing what you think. I know I'm a new channel and I don't have much of a portfolio yet, but this is the quality of videos you guys can expect going forward. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe so y'all can see my future content. My goal is to be a high quality basketball channel. Jimmy High Roller is someone I'm trying to emulate in terms of quality, so if you like his content, definitely stay tuned for my future videos. Thanks for watching everyone, this is the EXO and I'll see y'all next time.